Shalom. In this week's Parsha Va'eschanan, Moshe Rabbeinu begs and prays to God to allow him to enter into the land of Israel. Our rabbis teach us that Moshe Rabbeinu prayed to God hundreds of times for this request, until God finally said, "Enough. I've heard enough." The answer is still no. Moshe Rabbeinu would be allowed to see and to view the land, but he would not be allowed to enter. Now, what lies in Moshe Rabbeinu's request? Why was it so important for Moshe Rabbeinu, the man who went up to heaven and brought the Torah down to the Jewish people, who did the wonders in Egypt and brought the Jewish people out of Paro's land? What was it that possessed Moshe Rabbeinu so much that he just had to enter into the land of Israel? Now, this question is asked by the Talmud, and the rabbis of the Talmud answers, because Moshe wanted to fulfill the commandments, because this is the place for fulfillment. This is the place where God's commandments take effect. That's right. Many of you may be shocked to hear that, but that's the truth. We find Nachmanides, the Ramban, in his commentary, tells us that the place to do the commandments, the mitzvot, is only in the land of Eretz Israel. I know what you're saying. Yeah, sure. But we do it all over the world anyway. Isn't that true? Yes. And he goes on to tell us that we do it outside the land of Israel only in order for us not to forget the commandments when we return home. God knew that we'd be in exile for a long time, for 2,000 years. And so he told us to continue to do the commandments, because we surely would forget them outside the land by the time we did return. And that's what we have over here. Moshe Rabbeinu understanding this, that the essence of fulfilling the commandments is done only in the land of Israel. And that is why he begs God time and time again to enter into the land. But it was not to be. It was not to be. How fortunate are we today to be able to be living here, to be able to be walking in the land, the same place that Moshe Rabbeinu was denied access. Who amongst our brothers would want to stay outside the land and not hurry home when the opportunity awaits them? Daily, planes take off and arrive. Tens of planes every single day arrive in Ben Gurion Airport. You just might be one of the lucky ones, my dear brothers and sisters. Then again, you just might be one of those who are caught up in current events in the exiles. Because we see God has a master plan. And whether we want it or not, things are happening historically. God is bringing his people home. And those who stubbornly hold on to the exile with all their mights will find themselves in a very bitter state. The world is in turmoil today. We see that everywhere. The writing is on the wall. Moshe Rabbeinu begged God to enter. We, his children, have that opportunity. Will we not take it? Our rabbis teach us the following. Maseh Rebbe Yehuda ben Betera. It was in the times of Rebbe Yehuda, Rebbe Matai ben Charesh, Rebbe Chanina, Rebbe Yoshua, Rebbe Yochanan. These 5 rabbis, Hayu Yotzim l'chutz la'aretz, they were leaving the land of Eretz Israel, and they arrived at the border. And as they arrived at the border, they looked back. V'zachu et Eretz Israel, they remembered the land. V'kafu eineihem, they pointed their eyes to the land, and they cried bitter tears. V'karu bigdeihem, and they ripped their garments. And more important, they returned back to the land. They said, how is it possible that we are going to leave this land of the land of Israel? And they returned to settle in the land. And they said, Yeshivat Eretz Yisrael, settling of the land of Israel, Shikula, is equal to all the other commandments in the Torah. That's right. Equal to all the other commandments in the Torah. You heard it right. Who would not arise to come? Our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers would walk if they had the opportunity to come home to Eretz Yisrael. That's right. Many did. And we today sit around to the comforts of the exile. What do we say? There's better tuna fish outside the land? Better mayonnaise? Well, those days are gone. No excuses anymore. Mayo, Hellman's, in the land now. That's right. Starkist, Charlie, in the land. Ben & Jerry's ice cream, in the land. We have it all. There's no excuses to stay behind. None at all. That's the tragedy. King David was forced to run away from Shaul, who was chasing after him. And he said, today I have left a portion of God to go worship idols. And the rabbis questioned this. Did anyone tell King David to worship idols? No. The mere fact that he left the land of Israel, that he was forced out of the land, this itself is like worshiping idols. And that's what our rabbis teach us. Kol hador be'eretz Yisrael, everyone who lives in the land of Israel, is as if he has a God. And all those who live outside the land is as if they're worshiping idols. Do you want to be part of that? Is that how you want to bring up your children and your grandchildren? Don't take that risk. The gates are still open. The planes are still traveling. But not forever. There is a time limit. Yes, God has set a time. Don't be caught up in the events and the tragedies that awaits outside the land. Our rabbis teach us that today Eretz Yisrael is like Tevat Noach. It is the ark of Noah. The salvation, the prophets tell us, will happen only in the land. This is the message of the Parsha, of the weekly portion. Moshe Rabbeinu prayed, begged God, please let me enter the land. This is the place. This is the essence. This is where the Jewish people belong. He wasn't allowed. We have that opportunity. Don't miss it. I'm Levi Chazan from somewhere in the Middle East. Until next time.